Good morning, everyone. Today we will deal with the remaining part of the chapter attitude. Till now, we have seen the meaning of attitude, features of attitude, formation of attitude. Now, change of attitudes. How do you change your attitude? And if you change your attitude, as I already said, it will help you. So, change of attitude. Formation and change of attitude are not two separate things. They are interwoven. See, formation means we form the attitude because it is the need of time to change it. So they are interwoven. Formation and change of attitude are interwoven. They are interlinked. People are always adopting, modifying, and relinquishing attitudes to fit their ever-changing needs and interests. Peoples are always adopt something, they modify it, and they relinquish it. They change it, they transform it because it is the time to change. And when they change it, it means they are going to fit there, they are going to absorb something. Attitude cannot be changed by simple education. See, developing attitude is a very long process. It takes years or whole life sometimes. We will see it ahead. So, attitude cannot be changed by simple education. Acceptance of new attitudes depends on who is presenting the knowledge. See, your attitude is depend on the person who is talking to you. If you are in any condition or any situation, it can change your attitude. So, your attitude is depend on the knowledge, who, how it is presented, how that knowledge is presented, and how the person is perceived. Means, how do you understand that person and the credibility of the communicator and his power or his knowledge to communicate, his way of speaking. So, these things can change your attitude, they can form your attitude and the condition by which the knowledge was received. And the last but not least, you are also important. Means you are receiving that attitude because of these factors, presenting the knowledge, how it is presented, how the person is perceived, the credibility of the communicator, and the condition by which the knowledge was received. So how do you receive that knowledge is also important because it will help you to form your attitude. Now, changing attitude is a long term process that takes into account the whole man, his home life, goals, hopes, concept of himself. So it is totally depend on you, and it is a long term process. One cannot achieve his attitude in a shorter period of time. It is not possible. It takes years, and it totally depends on your goals, hope, your concept about yourself, and everything related to you. Change of attitude is a person centered rather than work centered. So, change of attitude is person centered. It means only you are important here rather than your work, rather than your professional life. It is you who can change your attitude. Attitudes change when? Attitudes change when? So, there are three things that can change your attitude. The one is cognitive change, the one is affective change, and the third one is behavioral change. A cognitive change means it is related to your mental thing or mental power or psychology. See, only you and your mind can change your attitude. It depends on your cognitive behavior, sorry, cognitive thinking, not behavior, cognitive thinking. So, a person receives new information from others or media. To receive anything from information or from new information, it means you are processing that information in your psychology. Nowadays, news or media, social media is there. So, these are trying to change our attitude. If we hear any news, gradually we are thinking about it that we need to change because this is going to happen or this will happen in future, so we must prepare. So definitely our attitude changes there. So a cognitive change is related to your psychology. Now the second, to direct experience with the attitude object. So affective means your feeling, your emotions. So if you are experience something, if you are in any situation, so that situation or that experience can change your attitude. So what is that attitude object? A thing or a somebody. Think. Let me give you one example. See, if you are using a, simple but not simple budget, a small budget phone. Let's say take example 5 or 8 thousand rupees. You have a different attitude. And if you are using Apple phone, you will have a different attitude. People will change their attitude towards you because you are using an Apple phone. Oh, he is using Apple phone. Means you have some status. So objects play a very important role to change the attitude. It's a feeling, it's just an emotions. The direct experience with the attitude objects, so you can change your attitude. Now, behavioral change. How you behave with that particular object or somebody or something. Force a person to behave in a different way than normal. See, if you are getting training, you will have different approach to learn that. The trainer is forcing you or making some rules to train you. So in that scenario, you behave normally, not normally, differently because you are going to change it. So that is a behavioral change. Force a person to behave in a way different than normal. Now, attitude can be changed by a number of sources, including other people, family, media, church, or the object itself. So these are things that can change your attitude. First one is people, family, media, church, or the object itself. In analyzing the attitude change process, you must consider the effect of who says what, how, to whom, with what effect. See, the intensity of the situation or the experience has that capacity to change your attitude. Means, if you are talking to someone, or he is talking to you, your attitude changes, your thinking changes, your cognitive process started to think differently. So, in analyzing the attitude change process, you must consider the effect of who says what, how, to whom, with what effect. You must have heard the speeches of leaders, of political leaders. So everyone is different. Their way of speaking is different. their tone is different, their intensity of speech or tone is different, and that makes them unique. So, in analyzing the attitude change process, you must consider the effect of who says what, how, to whom, with what effect. Attitude will be changed based on how a person sees the communication and the communicator. Means how you see yourself in a group. If you are communicating with in a group, means that change is based on that communication and the communicator. Less committed people will change ideas more frequently. So those who are less committed people, they change their ideas frequently, and it's a very negative thing. It's a bad thing. If you have a high or low attitude, you should not change it frequently. If you change it frequently, it means you are losing yourself. You will lose your core, the essence of your attitude. So, less committed people will change ideas more frequently. If you have a friend whose behavior or whose attitude is always changing, then you will have a problem that how should I cope up with him or her? Means you cannot have a proper understanding about your friend if he changes his ideas frequently. Then attitude change also has to do with other personality characteristics such as susceptibility to persuasion, intelligence, readiness to accept change, etc. The personal characteristic also change your attitude. So your susceptibility to persuasion means how you ask a question to that idea. It means if you suspect anything, then you should use your perception. Let me give you a proper example. Think about a private detective. He has question and he is trying to find the answer with suspectability, with his persuasion. Persuasion means पाठलाग करणे त्या गोष्टीचा, म्हणजे त्या संशयाचा पाठलाग करत असताना तो कशा प्रकारे तो डिटेक्टिव्ह त्याचा ॲटिट्यूड चेंज करतो. त्याच प्रकारे आपण आपल्याला एखाद्या गोष्टीबद्दल काय वाटतं हेही तितकंच महत्वाचं आहे. आणि त्या प्रकारे आपण त्या गोष्टीचा पाठपुरावा करण्यास सुरुवात करतो. So, susceptibility to persuasion and intelligence. I need not say about this because intelligence matters a lot. If I say, if I say you should burn your hand, you will not, because you are that much intelligent, you have that much knowledge or intelligence to choose between what is good and bad. म्हणजे तुम्हाला एखादी कोणीतरी वाईट गोष्ट करायला सांगितली, तर तुम्ही तुमच्या त्या ज्ञानाचा किंवा त्या ॲटिट्यूडचा वापर करून त्यातून बाजूला होऊ शकता. यू कॅन डिफरेन्शिएट. तुम्ही तो एक फरक करू शकता की तुमच्यासाठी काय चांगलं आहे, काय वाईट आहे. सो यू कॅन differentiate between good and bad. Readiness to accept change. So this is the most important part. Readiness to accept change. There are some things, or there are certain companies or some people who cannot change in their lifetime. They stick to the very plan they have. As you know, we have to change according to the situation, according to the time. Nowadays, PCO phone is outdated because we have a different transformation system. We use mobile. So you should accept that you have to change. You have to accept that I am ready to change myself. You are more likely to accept information if you feel the communicator has no intent to change your attitudes and opinions. So it totally depends on you. You are more likely to accept information if you feel the communicator has no intent to change your attitudes and opinion. If you think that, then you can change your attitude. And if he is trying to change your attitude, it means you are not supposed to change it. So your thinking capacity has that power to change your attitude. Now, what can you do to change attitudes? What can you do to change your attitudes? If you want to change your attitude, you have to do certain things. In order to change attitude in you, suggestion for change must be reviewed and accepted. As I said, readiness to accept change means you have to review your attitude or suggestion and you have to accept that suggestion. See, some people changes according to time. Let me give a good example. You have seen so many people, they have changed drastically after their marriage. And then you will have question, how can a man change after his marriage? See, that thing is nothing to do with your attitude. A person's personal life is changing, but we have that thinking that he is changed so much. So, in order to change attitude in you, suggestion for change must be reviewed and accepted. So, you have to review yourself and you have to accept that suggestion. Reception and acceptance of changing attitudes are more likely to occur where the changes might meet the existing personality, needs, or desires. See, acceptance of change are more likely to occur where the changes meet the existing personalities, needs, or desires. Wherever there is a need to change your attitude, then it must occur there. You must change there. Means you have to accept that thing. You have to choose that will help your needs and desires. The changing of attitude is a long process. It depends on your needs and desires. When you are 10-year old, when you were 10-year old, you did not need to learn driving, four-wheeler driving or two-wheeler driving. After the age of 18, you can drive bike or four-wheeler. So there is a time, there is a need, there is a desire that I need to learn driving. So reception and acceptance of changing attitudes are more likely to occur where the change meets the existing personality's needs or desires. Now, the change is more likely to be accepted if when you accept your change, when it is in harmony with valued group. norms and loyalties. It means if you are in your group, if there is a harmony, it means you are going to change yourself. The source of the message is perceived as trustworthy or expert. When you understand that, change of attitude more likely to occur if the suggestion is accompanied by change in other factors underlying belief and attitude. So, if you believe, it means if you believe in that factor, that will change your attitude. So, bringing about change of attitude in a person has always been tough. It's a very tough task to have change of attitude. A study conducted in India to find out the challenges faced by modern executives revealed that bringing a desirable change in human being is the toughest job. So this is the study. Changing human being rating in yes 87. Changing the culture of organization 67. Problem of career growth 48. So this is a very tough task. A human being can change. No one trying to change their jobs or organization. No one is trying to change their problems in their career growth. Now, what this chart is saying, a process of changing attitude, expected attitudes and healing attitudes. So, what is expected attitude is correlated with your healing attitude, and your healing attitude means you are changing your attitude positively. I, I can't let anyone know. If you are secret, if you have personal issues, you don't want to reveal it. And if somebody know about it, you should not ashamed of it. So that is your healing attitude. It means you are in a process to change your attitude. Means I am not ashamed. Panic is evil, bad, the enemy. So what can I learn as a student of panic? So that panic situation will give you something, will teach you something. So you are the student of panic. Means in a scenario, how you can prove yourself in a difficult situation, how you prove yourself, it means you have that healing attitude. I want to avoid the symptoms. So that is your expected attitude. I want to avoid the symptoms. Now, what is your healing attitude? I want to face the symptoms to gain skills. So, if you are in an issue, you try to avoid it. But that issue will try to give you skill. If you are in a difficult situation or if you are in trouble, you try to avoid it. That is your expected attitude. But what will be your healing attitude? Yes, with this situation, with that trouble, I will be moved. If I think properly, then you can achieve good skills out of those symptoms. I must relax right now. That is your expected attitude. I must relax right now. It's okay to be anxious here. Okay to be anxious here. Means if you are relaxed, you will not have that thinking. It will stop your thinking and it is not good. So What will be your healing attitude? It's okay to be anxious here, because in your anxiety, you will think on that situation again and again and again. Anxious means chinta, kalji. I must stay on guard. I must stay on guard means you have that protection, that I should be safe in my thinking. I should have that relaxed mind. What is your healing attitude? I won't guard myself against anxiety. So having problems and issues is not a bad thing, because those problems, those issues, those troubles give you lessons, give you proper guidance. This is a text. So this is a text. Instead of saying this is a test, you should say this is a practice. A practice makes man perfect. So this is your healing attitude. With every degree of education, in 10th you have a good score, in 12th you have a rather good score, in at the degree level you will have again good score, and in a post graduation you will be in first class. So this is a process, and that process gives you practice. I must be certain that there is no risk. I must be certain that there is no risk. So you are trying to avoid risk. You should be sure. You must be sure. But this is not your attitude. Your attitude should be, I can tolerate uncertainty. Means you can tolerate everything which will come up ahead, which will come in your future life. And in that future, you should have that power to tolerate everything. Tolerance can give you endurance. And if you can tolerate, it means you have a lot of endurance, and that endurance gives you power. This bad better work. Sorry, this had a better work. This had a better work. It's okay if it doesn't work. So you should try to learn differently a good things, a best things. So you are working rigorously to achieve or to heal your attitude. So with this note, I am concluding this session. Thank you.